What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Echo video breakdown. So far I have 2 episodes out on the channel. Go check those out if you haven't. But if you are a fan of Echo like I am, you are already finished the series, so we're going to break down each episode today. We are talking about episode 3, Tuklo, which was like, it started out with an old-timey 1800s cowboy western, spaghetti western, like silent movie type of deal. And Tuklo is one of Maya's ancient ancestors. Each episode starts with like a little flashback of her when she's younger, or way back, like Loak in the past episode was like way back in 1200 AD or something. And you know, the one before that was like way before, like the dawn of time or something. But like, you can see that her ancestors are carrying on this power and this lineage, and it all kind of culminates through Maya, and it's a beautiful show. I really enjoy it. I'll talk about what I maybe would change, but in this episode I really enjoyed it. The Tuklo episode in the 1800s, we start with the Light Horsemen, a group of policemen, if you would, that are all horseback riding Choctaws, and they're badass, and she wants to be one. Her father's like, no, you can't be one. Women are life givers, men are life takers. And she's like, what's the point of giving life if I can't protect it? And you know, she has a very valid point. But then Tuklo goes and stumbles upon a mysterious river that's swirling, much like the shit that was swirling in Chafa's first episode, and like that, it's like mysterious, like magical water, almost as if you've seen What If season 2, Kahori's episode, she kind of sees this magical water, and then she gets sucked into it, into like the sky world, into a different realm. And you know, I think it's kind of like that, but instead of getting sucked in, they drank it a little bit, and now their lineage has power. And she goes all the way back to the first Choctaw, Chafa, and we'll talk more about that, but it's wild. But I love that at least the flashbacks, they didn't leave it too vague, and they actually explained it over time. In the first episode I was confused, in the second episode, but now that I've seen it, I get it a lot more. So she stumbles upon that burning energy we've seen, and then they cut to the intro, which is now the title cards with Burning by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. It's a banger of a song. I can't recommend it enough. I've been listening to it all week. Scully and Chula have a talk at at his pawn shop, and he's like, when I used to speak Indian to you, you used to melt like butter. And she's like, yeah, times change. These two were clearly dating, and they're now not together or whatever. I don't know if Scully was their actual grandfather, but it seems to be as if he was just a boyfriend or something that she was dating after. But yeah, I really love Scully. Graham Greene is hilarious, and Chula's growing on me as well. But Maya is over by her house and sees Chafa, like, you know, flashing into like her memories, but also like she's seeing it, like it's very vivid. And then all of a sudden she gets knocked out and taken by those 3 goons from the skating rink, and one of the dudes that is trying to get Maya for the bounty, for kingpin type of deal. And you know, Zane, his guy, is running shit. I hate these white guys in the show. Just should have kept it with the Choctaws and the badass people with like Biscuit and Bonnie. But like, I also feel like there was a storyline maybe cut out with Bonnie. Like, I feel like they gave us 5 episodes, and rumor had it that it was 6 or 8 episodes, and they had trimmed it down to the 5. I wouldn't have been mad with 6 or 8 and gotten a little bit more flushed out. Maybe find out what happened to Maya in between the 5 months of Hawkeye and traveling to Ohio or Oklahoma, where she had that cut wound in the first episode. Like, we still don't know where that came from. We just know that she got sewn up after sewing herself up with dental floss. Like, this is just some wild stuff. But when she comes to, she's hanging upside down. They have Henry tied up, and Bonnie comes to the skating rink. She's like knocking on the door looking for Uncle Henry, but the skating guy is holding Henry, and they grab Bonnie too, and they all throw her in. And it's like crazy, because this whole 3 episodes Maya's been avoiding having the conversation with Bonnie, and all of a sudden Bonnie gets captured and thrown in this room, and Maya's just sitting there handcuffed to like a workout machine, and she's like just looks, and she's just waiting, and it's like super like drawn out, and we're just waiting, and finally Bonnie sees sees her, and they both can't sign to each other because their hands are tied up. So they're fucking just looking at each other like, oh, you're here, you're what? I can't believe you're here, and you wouldn't talk to me, and now we're both tied up. So Maya drags her prosthetic that had fallen off towards her, and it has a little knife point in the foot. So she fucking takes the foot, cuts the zip ties around her hand, and then lets Bonnie go, and then they have to have a little conversation finally. But Maya breaks them out, and she starts to really kick ass, and we get this kick ass scenes in the skate rink area, but is also kind of a laser tag place, kind of an arcade. Like, I don't know where this is, but Henry's running a hell of a skating rink. But you can see this guy's neck here in this picture getting kicked by Maya. He's got two little crossed swords on that. I didn't initially know what this meant, but I also noticed the swords in a later episode, so I didn't realize that the goons in this episode had the sword as well. But apparently that's like a comic book reference to like the Black Knife gang or cartel or something like that, and maybe giving nods to Bullseye, which wouldn't be Colin Farrell's Bullseye, would be the Bullseye Poindexter from Daredevil season 3. And at the end of that, I believe we get like him with like a bionic spine or something. So like, it's pretty wild shit that like maybe we could get him back in this, or like so we thought, but maybe more so in Daredevil Born Again. I don't know, but there's some big cliffhangers in later episodes that we'll talk about. But so she kicks his ass with the not primary leg, but the Scully leg that he made, and she kicks some ass in the skating rink, and it's kind of violent. There's some shit with that, like blood's flying, and just that alone, like I felt like they could have leaned in a little bit harder, and she could have been much more vicious, crushing skulls and shit. But they did show that she is killing people, but not necessarily with her bare hands. Like, a lot of the most brutal kills were with a gun, or like she kicks it with her foot, but the knife is still out in the foot, slices a guy's neck. But like, they could have done this in a PG-13 way, same action, just not have the blood splatter. But I think honestly the blood splatter adds to a little bit more, makes it a little bit more violent, but also brings you closer to Maya. Like, okay, yeah, she is violent and brutal, but she was also raised by the Kingpin, kind of somewhat, from Uncle Kingpin. So like, this girl's been through a lot. But there was one part when she's kicking ass, you know, after she comes through the wall, the Make America Skate Again wall. She pushes this guy through the wall, smashes his head into the ground, his blood splatters from the back of the head onto the ground. Like, it's just some great scenes. But there's one point where she's kicking ass and she punches the dude in the face and just looks over at Henry and points at her mouth and goes, bah! And I laughed so hard, I don't know why, but I was just like, fuck, I love Alaka Cox so much. Just in the middle of this fight, she goes, bah! And I was like, what does that mean? Like, was it more like a pow? Like, she just knocked the shit out of that guy and she was happy with herself? She just stops and goes, pow! It cracked me up, but I fucking loved it. I've been loving this show. But she takes a bunch of the guys out, and the Irish prick Zane has Bonnie, so then she kind of stops taking guys out and is captured again. So now her and Henry are next to each other, and the guy Zane goes to Uncle Henry. He goes, oh, is that old Black Crow, Henry Black Crow Lopez that I see? So like, he's got a nickname, Black Crow. I would like to know where he got that from. I think there was some more backstory with Uncle Henry, that he was doing some shit was some dark shit. In the middle of, like, Zane's about to shoot and take out Black Crow, Henry, Amaya, maybe even Bonnie all at once. Here he's about to shoot and kill him, and he gets a phone call. And who's that phone call from? Probably Wilson Fisk. We don't hear the voice, but afterwards Henry says it. He's like, there's only one man that could have called off that thing, and you know. And she's like, well, I shot him in the face, so it couldn't have been him, which is a valid point. She did shoot a man in the face. Notoriously, guys don't normally live from headshot, direct point blank range. Like, I don't know what the deal with Kingpin is, but he does seem extra strong. Like, did this guy get some super soldier serum in his wake? Because, like, you know, a lot of the other stuff where, like, he got shot in an arrow in Hawkeye, they were like, oh, well, that can be justified by his bulletproof suits that he had made in Daredevil. And I'm like, okay, sure, I buy that. But you don't have a bulletproof suit on your face. Like, you get shot in the face. That's not really, you can't justify that with bulletproof suit. So I don't know what the deal with Kingpin is, but hopefully that gets flushed out a little bit more in Daredevil Born Again. But yeah, so afterwards they walk out. Bonnie, she sends Bonnie home, promises that she'll talk to her soon, and then I don't really think she does, but maybe that got cut out. Like I was saying, they trimmed it down to this, because it does feel towards the later episodes, the pacing is okay, but it doesn't feel perfect. It feels like there's some things that we're missing, and like very clearly missing, that they just trimmed for time or whatever. But I don't know, if you're binging it anyways, fucking release what you had, you know? I don't know if they had all that much confidence in this, but this is probably the last of the shows from like 2020 and like, you know, COVID times, and like way back when like Hawkeye was filmed, like 2020, 2021, like this is probably way back from then. It's probably the last of that stuff, and all the stuff coming forward from like Daredevil, or from Deadpool 3 on, I think is like really strategically, they've rerouted their plan a little bit, and I think it's gonna, you know, just hold tight, people. I think it's gonna be okay. But Scully comes to Maya's house and brings a new leg. He tells her that him and Chula ain't together anymore, so that's where we find out that they were divorced or married or not married or just dating and not together anymore. But he clearly still loves her, and I'm a sucker for a love story, so I really wanted to see Grandma Chula and Graham Greene, Scully, you know, back together at the end of the show. They weren't quite together, but you know, they still had a very sweet moment. We'll talk about that in a later episode. Scully says, "We all wish we had done things differently," and talking about the grandma and like how she didn't reach out to Maya didn't reach out to her, so like they both are mad at each other for not reaching out, but no one reached out. It's one of those things, you know, the family is very messy. It's the hardest thing to do is family, and if you have a good easygoing family, fucking cherish that shit, because that shit is more complicated than not most of the time, let's be real. But then we cut to Grandma at the church, and she's not singing along, just kind of staring off, just like seeing visions, I believe, of like the ancestors, and maybe getting a warning, much like Maya has been getting all season. But Maya rides home, and who's there waiting for her but Kingpin, sitting there with an eye patch, ready to go. Like, ooh, ooh, that was a big, this was a huge cliffhanger, right? So I watched 1 and 2, and then I was like, alright, maybe I'll do 3, and then 4 the next day, 5 the next day. I saw this cliffhanger after 3 and made myself watch the remaining 3 episodes all at once. So I do, as I'm recording this, I do know what happens in 4 or 5, but as 3 ends, this is the cliffhanger, so stay tuned for the next video. We'll talk about episode 4, Taloa, and what that means and who that means. But I just want to shout out real quick, the end credits had Feral Love by Chelsea Wolfe, another banger. There's a lot of bangers in this show, and a lot of women artists, and a lot of Choctaw, real, authentic people, and you feel it, and you buy it, and it's fucking awesome, and I can't recommend this show enough. If you guys have been liking it, please leave a like down below. Follow me on my other social medias. Follow me pretty much anywhere. BIGGCAM. You can find me. Threads, Instagram, Twitter is Big Cam. YouTube. Check me out. Message me. Send me some thoughts on Echo. But also check out my Letterboxd. I got movie reviews up over there. So far, 11 for 11. It is now the 13th. I meant to watch a movie last night, but I had a girl over and she fucked those plans up. And I have things to watch. But so today is Saturday the 13th, so I am planning, I don't know if I'll do it, but I'm planning on watching at least 2 movies, maybe even 3. I have Killers of the Flower Moon I want to watch, this movie called Lift with Kevin Hart that looked kind of funny, and one more I wanted to watch, either like Saltburn or like Gran Turismo, also on Netflix right now, so go check those out. Follow me below, subscribe if you're new. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace.